Ok, hoy vamos a hablar un poco sobre el subjuntivo de influencia. Today, we are going to speak a little bit about the subjunctive that expresses influence. Okay, influence. What are the subjunctive triggers of the subjunctive that expresses influence? Okay, we have verbs as subjunctive triggers that imply that you're trying to influence the behavior or the ideas or the opinion of other people. Okay, or you're asking them to do something for you, and that is why we call these verbs verbs of influence, verbos de influencia. Por ejemplo, aconsejar, decir, desear, insistir, mandar, pedir, querer, recomendar, sugerir. Okay, this is an example of a subjunctive sentence that expresses influence. Okay, we have two subjects. Okay, mi novia y yo. Okay, and we have the verbs desear y recoger. Okay, desear y recoger. Mi novia desea que yo recoja las maletas. Okay, the moment you see the verb desear, you know this is a subjunctive trigger of influence. So you are going to use the subjunctive in the second sentence. And you conjugate recoger in the subjunctive way. In this case, is recoja. Yo recoja. Recoger is an irregular verb. It changes when you're conjugating it in the subjunctive. You change the G for the J. So remember, you have two sentences tied together, connected by que. You have two subjects, mi novia y yo. The first verb, desear, is a subjunctive trigger of influence, and you conjugate it in the indicative way or form. And the second verb, recoger, you're going to conjugate it in the subjunctive way, okay, in the subjunctive mode. Okay, this is another example, okay. We have Carmen quiere que yo vaya con ella de vacaciones. Okay, we have here two sentences, Carmen quiere, and we have que yo vaya con ella de vacaciones, two sentences connected by the conjunction que. Okay, the first one is what we call the independent sentence. The second one is what we call, and we talk about this in the other project, the subordinate clause or the subordinate sentence. So when you see the verb querer, quiere, you immediately recognize it as a subjunctive trigger of influence, okay? Carmen is trying to convince me to go with her on vacation. So the second verb, ir, you're going to conjugate in the subjunctive. Now, ir is a really, really irregular verb, and when you conjugate it in the subjunctive, it changes completely, okay? And it is conjugated as vaya, que no se parece en nada. It doesn't look at all like ir, que yo vaya con ella de vacaciones. So 2 sentences, 2 subjects, 2 verbs, a subjunctive trigger. So you have to use the subjunctive in the second sentence. Okay, besides verbs of influence, we have impersonal phrases. And we also talk about impersonal phrases in the previous PowerPoint. Okay, impersonal phrases are phrases that do not have a subject, or it is difficult to determine who is the subject or the subject is implied. Okay, and they show influence. Es bueno, es importante, es imposible, es indispensable, es mejor, es necesario. Okay, but they are phrases of influence, okay, impersonal phrases of influence, because what is good for you or what is important to you is not necessarily important to another people, okay? So what you're trying to do is to convince them, to make them think that this is good or this is important or this is impossible, when this is actually your opinion. So that is why they're trying to sort of influence the second person in the sentence. Okay. Okay, a good example of impersonal phrases of influence is this one. Okay, es imposible que nosotros pasemos la frontera sin pasaporte. Okay, the first sentence es imposible, which is an impersonal phrase. We have a second sentence, que nosotros pasemos la frontera sin pasaporte. Okay, so we have an impersonal phrase and we have a second subject. And the impersonal phrase is also the subjunctive trigger in this sentence. So we're going to conjugate the first verb, which is es, ser, in the indicative, and the second one we're going to conjugate in the subjunctive. Now, what happens when you have a sentence that even though it has 2 verbs, it only has 1 subject? Well, when this happens, usually what you have is you conjugate the first verb in the indicative, and the second verb you leave in the basic form of the verb, which is the infinitive. Even if the first verb is a verb of influence like desear, or a phrase of influence like es mejor, okay? The second verb, is not conjugated in the subjunctive. Is left in the infinitive form, in the basic form of the verb. For example, Sofía desea ir a pescar. Okay, we don't have a second subject, even though we have the verb desea. So the second verb is in the infinitive. In the second sentence, es mejor conocer la ciudad a pie. We have an impersonal phrase, es mejor, but you don't have a second subject. Therefore, you leave the verb in the infinitive. Es mejor conocer la ciudad a pie. Okay, let's just practice for a little bit conjugating verbs in these 4 sentences. You have to decide whether to use the subjunctive or the indicative or the infinitive. If you go to the next slide, you will find the answers. Thank you.